nandun siya sa platform. So, ang tama niya.
Sir, start na sir.
Di ka play atong God guidance. Di ka guidance services. Usa ka video.
Start na po na sir. Nandun siya sa prior din sa
Okay. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Joseph Dadol, the Guidance Officer of the Junior High School Department. Just please use your USPF Gmail account upon attending the webinar. Please refrain from posting unnecessary comments during the webinar. The comment section is only intended for asking questions during the open forum. The evaluation form link will be posted on our official Facebook page from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The evaluation form will be the basis for your attendance and a certificate. A certificate will be sent through your email. Please give us time to prepare your A certificate. To begin with, let us have the prayer and followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw,
Introduce to you our resource speaker for today. A graduate of Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education in 1995, pursued Master of Arts in Guidance and Counseling, and completed in 2013 both in Columban College, Pagadian City. Fueled by her passion for professional advancement to become more effective and relevant in her field, she took her PhD in clinical psychology at Silliman University in 2016 and completed in 2019. A licensed professional teacher, registered guidance counselor, actively involved in civic organization, president of the Career Guidance Advocates in Philippines Zamboanga, chapter, president, Family Welfare Federation in Zamboanga del Sur, treasurer, Boy Scout of the Philippines, Sambo chapter, social manager of Public Employment Office, Zamboanga chapter, regional awardee of Dole Secretary Bayanihan Awards due to her advocacies and initiates during the pandemic and calamities. Board of Trustees, member of the native tree planters in the region, Diocesan Core Group member of the HIV/AIDS advocates in the Diocese of Pagadian. She is also awarded as the Outstanding School Keeper of the Philippines during the National Schools Press Conference in Bicol. A mother of three, currently the SSC Guidance Director. Please help me welcome with a virtual applause Dr. Mary Jane B. Omandam, RGC.
Um, Good morning, panagdait sa tanan. Am I audible?
Yes, Doc.
Okay. So, panagdait sa Dios sa tanan o sa tanang kabuhatan. Before I'll start my presentation, I would like to say na just express a little background of panagdait sa tanan greeting. Panagdait sa tanan greeting is our institutional greeting since Saint Columban is recognized from Rome to be the center of culture and arts in Zamboanga Peninsula. So it is a responsibility, it's our duty to always say panagdait sa tanan whenever we give talks or whenever we are invited to have some talks like this. So also, I would like to express my gratitude to Ma'am Elitz, my friend. I miss you, Ma'am Elitz. She's my classmate in Silliman University back in 2016 to 2019. We had a very beautiful journey, meaningful journey together in Silliman University in Dumaguete City. So this morning, we will be talking about mental health, no? And then I am also, I was asking her to integrate VUCA World in my talk because this is now our situation as the pandemic arrived in 2020. So let me share with you. And yes, good morning panagdait sa tanan, sa mga participants present in the virtual platform. So thank you so much for having me here this morning.
You're welcome, Doc.
Okay, so our theme is mental health care for all, and let's make it let's make it a reality in the VUCA world. Why in the VUCA world? Because this is the very, as I've said a while ago, this is the very world we are dealing right now. And it's very important to understand this so that we can also start where we can really have some mga activities and have some things like caring ourselves, because of course we know very well that this pandemic is really affecting us psychologically, not only as teachers but even our students, our parents, and later we will know some of the researches that I have searched in the onset of the pandemic. But first, let us go to the VUCA world. What is the VUCA world? um this is the VUCA world. It is filled, our world today is filled with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. When we speak of volatility, meaning to say, you know, everything is so volatile that we are not so sure of what's going to happen. Our condition, our situation is so volatile that, people back in 2020 last year, we were so when the pandemic strikes us, we were so hopeful that after 2 weeks, I guess that was March 2020, no, when the national government declared to have a national lockdown, national lockdown, and it was 2 weeks, I guess, and everybody was hoping that after 2 weeks everything will go to normal condition, normal situation. But we were so wrong, because after 2 weeks there's another lockdown and another lockdown. And in fact, right now in Zamboanga del Sur, we are still in MGCQ. Okay, so because of that, people are so confused. People were even affected emotionally, and relationships were also affected. Later, we will know that. And well, there's also this, because of that volatile or volatility condition, uncertainty of things also comes in, like education. Even our in education, even our Secretary of Education, Ma'am Briones, declared that we will be just suspending our classes in DepEd. That was in DepEd, because during that time I was still the principal of the senior high school. So I was so connected with the DepEd activity and mandates. There was a lot of proposals. There was a lot of plans, but then because of uncertainty, all those plans were not even implemented. So that becomes so uncertain. That made our condition so uncertain. And of course, things are becoming complex, no? And then, of course, because of the volatility, because of the uncertainty, and because of the complexity, everything becomes also ambiguous, meaning to say there's no clear of what's gonna happen after. And this VUCA world actually started in, I guess that was in 1970s. This term was used by the soldiers in in the combat, how to how to defeat their opponents during the time. I guess that was in 1990. I was still in college that time, and our American soldiers will really looking lots of mga um, ways in order to combat enemies, and they introduced that. And then in the later years, it was also used, the term was also used by our um, businessmen, not only in the country, worldwide. And then just last year, even educators also felt the VUCA world in our situation. So to go deeper on what's volatility all about, this is the world now. We are constantly changing, becoming more unstable each day, where changes, big and small, are becoming more unpredictable, and they're getting more and more dramatic and happening faster and faster as events unfold in completely unexpected ways. And it's becoming impossible to determine cause and effect. So, although there were lots of researches, but then those researches, results of researches, even did not give us a proper way or proper directions on what to do and where to go. That's volatility. And then for uncertainty, we are becoming, or things are becoming more difficult to anticipate events or predict how they unfold. So historical forecasts and past experiences are losing its relevance, meaning to say, those things that we believe and we think that our best practice previously are already relegated to the past, but we could no longer, we could no longer apply it to the present because of the uncertainty of things, meaning because of the constant changes. So meaning those good practices that we had are already part of the past, part of the history. But this time around, we need to think bigger, and we have to, go outside the box in order to have a lot of lenses to understand things. And then for complexity, our modern world is more complex than ever. So, what are the reasons? What are the effects? Problems and their repercussions are more multi layered. So, the pandemic, from first, number one, the number one effect of pandemic was the economy, no? Our economic status, there were lots of workers were affected during that time. And in fact, our frontliners are even affected recently. Mga few months ago, we were already having, less frontliners because they themselves were even affected. So problems and yeah, and then harder to understand, and the different layers intermingled. So murag nagkakuan na jud kay siya, nagka cross na kaya, no, making it impossible to get an overview of how things are related. So decisions are reduced to a tangled mesh of reason, of reaction, and counter reactions. So choosing the single correct path is almost impossible, meaning of all the uncertainties, of all the volatilities, it's very difficult for us to choose the best solution for the problems of our situation at present. So finally, ambiguity means one size fits all, and best practice have been relegated to yesterday. So in today's world, it's rare for things to be completely clear or precisely determinable. So not everything is black and white, meaning if we cannot have black, we'll have white. So meaning these are not the only option. There are other options. Gray is also an option at present. The demands on modern school management, especially in teaching, are more contradictory and paradoxical than ever. So, challenging our personal value systems to the core. So, in a world where the what takes the backseat, and to the why and the how. So, making decisions requires courage, awareness, and willingness to make mistakes. So in the VUCA world, everything seems to be experimental, and whatever is the best maybe or good for the solution on this particular problem, we have to we cannot say that this is already the best, but we have to implement first and see its result. So I guess there are some teachers here who are in depth ed, and I don't know if you are also required in your region to prepare LCP, no? So we were preparing our LCP in the department from elementary to college. And our LCP is not a guarantee that we are already offering the best education for the new normal, because for us, we believe that everything is experimental. If this thing works, then we are going to improve the next time we implement it. And those things that are not so effective will be removed from the LCP. That's what we are doing right now in school, improving and evaluating, taking action of the LCP of the school so that we can truly address this VUCA world in in our present time. So with this, the pandemic actually puts the world into this VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So this one, just a situationer for the past year, coronavirus 19 outbreak puts humankind into the VUCA world. This is now our normal life. We cannot go out without the face mask. In Pagadian City, we have 500 fines for those, you know, people not wearing face masks in public. So that happens usually in the public market, no? There was a time when I had my marketing, there were over 100 people were caught by the authorities who were not, wearing face masks. I don't know in Cebu how strict is the implementation of the health protocol, because recently our cases also increased. And then, yeah, there's that limited human mobilization. Actually, for 2 years now, I was not able to really go out Zamboanga del Sur, compared to my previous years before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, every month, I always have trouble. So, grabe ang changes, no? Very limited ang human mobilization. And during the declaration of the lockdown, in fact, there would only be one. I know you also experienced the same. There would only be one from the household to go out for marketing for the basic commodities. And then, of course, face mask. This is the face of the new normal. So right now, when we go to another region, are always we need to submit our negative swab tests and the S-Pass, and there are a lot of requirements, no, before you can enter in another border. And then, so what are the effects of the VUCA world to the schools and stakeholders? This one, no, I don't know. I well, good for you because you are in Cebu City, and I guess signal connectivity is not the problem. But right here in our area, this one is really a problem, connectivity. In the basic ed, we are applying blended learning. So meaning we have students who are just taking modular education modality, modular. But then there are also students who are taking virtual, and there are those who took both because they wanted to also attend. But then again and again, the very problem whenever we have our virtual classes is the connectivity, and that, mom, please, sorry, I cannot open my cam because whenever I open my camera, I would be out from the from the platform, things like that. I don't know if your students are also experiencing the same. And whenever I'm also having my classes to my masteral and undergrad students, I'm also experiencing the same difficulty. Sometimes I would ask the students, please, I cannot open my camera because my connection right here is very poor, especially with the weather conditions. These are the things that we are facing. And then, of course, after that, school closure that made us move to the virtual platform, to distant learning and other modality, so that we can still, even during the onset of the pandemic, we can still offer education. And then, of course, work from home scheme. And the problem of this is that when our administrators, our HR do not understand the nature of the work from home, and that some of the HR would count every single second of what you're doing at home. But of course, that should not, for me, but it should not be the case, because there's the head who would be making some follow-ups of what's the nature of the work of your staff. And of course, ang sometimes ang HR do not really know what's the nature of all the staffs. Like if you are in the MIS office, kabalo ba jud ang kining nagmonitor sa atoa kung unsa ang ato ang work at home? Like if you are at the guidance center, do they know what we are doing as a guidance counselors? These are the things. So there's also this some problem, no, of the work from home scheme, because actually, if I'm going to refer it to our own, we are not so prepared for this. We are not so ready to shift our face-to-face work to work from home scheme. So there's this adjustment for both administrators and workers. But the good thing is that there's open communication where we can just easily express our opinion, our ideas, our observation of what's going on. So that's the good thing if the institution has maintained that open communication, so that both mga challenges can be addressed. Wait for Okay. So independent learning. I don't know if this is also experienced by your students, no? But as working in the guidance office and having lots of mga linkages, the effect of independent learning is that students are left on their own, and that, of course, no teacher can assist them compared to when they are in the classroom. It's so difficult for our students, and that even affect their psychological. There's some impact in their psychological status. Another thing is that there are a lot of mga parents who are also affected with this pandemic, and so even their children are complaining that staying at home, learning and staying at home is so difficult for them. It's because daghang sugo diri, daghang kurot diri, and honestly, and in reality, domestic abuse also increased during the pandemic. Kay kana bitang parents are not so adjusted with how to teach their children. Nga kung dili makasabot hala with all that, not only physically abuse, no, even verbal abuse, bugo kay ka anong wala man ka and all that. I don't know if you also have received the same complaints from parents and students, because that's what we experience here. And then mass reproduction of modules. This also affects teachers. Sometimes I don't know if you are, I don't know if this fits to your situation in your school, because we also produce modules for our students. So the nature of our module here is that in every 2 weeks, our module is prepared for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, we retrieve and then we release the next module, and that. And it's so difficult. It's so, for me, but it's a burden to the teachers, because they have to really monitored naman kaayo, because modules should be checked. Kay maulaw pud ka nga imong mga module iuli nimo wala na check. So you have to check the module. If you have say 400 students, you have to check 400 modules in 2 weeks. Aside from that, you also need to prepare your next module. But in our basic education, we had allocated the summer months for the preparation of modules. So less na sila sa ilahang work, no, every 2 weeks. But for me, para sa ang bugat para sa ako is the checking of the module, because modules can also be read and checked by the parents, and whatever the result of the module, whenever we returned it, it would always affect not only us but the school. So we are very particular of our module, especially in the checking. The heads are really monitoring it, how the teachers are doing it, so that um, we can still, we can still maintain that quality in education, even if we are having this modular modality, this kind of modality. So not only in the public, but even in private, teachers are really affected in the mass reproduction of modules. So financially, sometimes, no, maka-print na sila ilang kaugalingon, and sometimes during the kuan kanang unsa ni the reproduction or the preparation, burn out ang teachers. So it also affects their psychological condition. So education is everywhere. Nasa kalsadang mga bata, I don't know kung naana sa inyo ha, but we can always observe here. And then that students are answering modules everywhere. Pwedeng sa CR, pwedeng sa street, pwedeng sa bisag asa na sila, they can bring their module. But the worst thing is that parental role becomes crucial in education. Why? Because there are parents ba na who maybe back subject, no, na instead of acting as a guide, as a tutor to their children, they are the one answering the what is this the module of their children. So it becomes crucial because we could no longer the standard performance of our students. Kay wala ta kabalog ilaha ba ng answer diha og sa parents ba? Kinsa may atong gigraduhan. So this also becomes a problem to us in the academy. And then distance learning left students in isolation. Because of that, this this kind of situation is the very impact, or no, is the very has the high percentage of in researches of our students, especially mga adolescents, having high psychological problems or mental stress. So kana jud kanang isolated sila because they're in their age, they're not used to be staying at home. They used to socialize, they used to go out to have bondings with friends, with relatives and all that, but for over a year they're isolated at home. So it becomes a problem also. And why I am presenting this one is because we have this very important role to the parents, to the students, to the community. How can we connect to them? Because we are also affected by it. But since we are in the academe, are we doing our role? So let's try to see some research now. What does research say on the mental health? So condition worldwide. This is the research of Imaginable Future in 2020. Mental health being of parents, teachers, and caregivers directly impact their child's well-being. Why? Kung unsa ang mental well-being of the parents, of the teachers, will always affect. For instance, ikaw teacher ka, wala ka naka-adjust sa new normal. And because of that, if you are anxious, if you are disturbed, then you cannot really concentrate also in connecting, in reaching out to your students. And right now, our connections to our students is very important. That's always what I'm emphasizing whenever I give orientations to our teachers, because people in the guidance center, the hands of the people of the guidance center are tied. We do not know what's happening in the classroom, in the virtual platform, but it's always the teacher. So if we teachers do not really adjust with the new normal, then it's also very difficult for us to be able to understand the situation of our students. And that's a question. So parents, teachers, and caregivers reported an increase of stress and 35% increase in their fussiness kanang dili na disturbed na kaayo or disruptive behavior. That's University of Oregon. Another research here, 5,000 teachers still in imaginable future. 500 teachers their emotions to the top 5 responses. Anxiety, number 1. Fearful, of course, because of uncertainty, because of volatility, because of complexity of things and ambiguity. Of course, dili nato na malikayan nga mahadlok ta. We are worried and then overwhelmed with the situation na unsa naman ta ani? Are we going to be out of this situation? And sad. That's Yale survey in 2020. Furthermore, teacher training in blended or online educational methods would be crucial for their favorable work development. Yeah, because there were a lot of training, no left and right, for the teachers to be able to really adjust with the new normal, with the VUCA world, and it's really also crucial for their favorable work development. Because the situation in the pre-pandemic is double. Kung unsa mga challenges nato in the pre-pandemic, this time it's doubled. I do not know if your school is able to really adjust immediately with our shift from the face-to-face to the virtual platform of education. Another is teachers have experienced higher levels of distress due to the workload generated during the lockdown. And then, since education has to continue, teachers have found themselves coping with online blended education at any level and, say, mass reproduction of module. Um, so, In general, research findings say that mental health crisis is there worldwide, not only to the children, but even to the parents and to the teachers like us. We are also affected with that. Although in my case, it was different because I was only able to stay at home for a week. After a week, I have to go out because during that time, as the principal of the senior high school, I had over 30 faculty members and staff, and also 3 colleagues in the guidance center. So I'm part of the I'm part of the mitigation group to address or to also plan how to help our teachers. So 1 week lang talaga. That's why I was not so affected with it because my routine in the office is na sa meeting every day na I meeting with the bishop, with the board of trustees, with some of the heads in order to plan out things so that we would be able to still continue deliver education during the onset of the pandemic. So because of that, uh, we'll also try to just have some review of what's the mental health is. So mental health is helping us determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. So, yan ha, I would like to emphasize handle stress, meaning to say, uh, even if you are having some stress, but you are able to manage and to handle it. And then, uh, your relationship with others is not affecting it because you are able to manage it. And your choices also is still very logical. That's mental health is. That's mental fitness is. And then another is it is important at every stage of life from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. So meaning dili lang kita mga adult but even children are also experiencing mental stress. So therefore mental fitness should always be present in all stages of life in human being. So one's capacity to handle this is the mental health now, mentally and emotionally what is presented by reality is a sign of mental fitness. And then it is also known as affective health, inter, and meta relationship. Later I will be going deeper into these things, the the meta relationships of our mental health. Of course, human person is always in a relationship. Oneself, that's intra relationship, with others, that's interrelationship, with context, that's society, environment, and meta relationship. So going back to the interrelationship, so meaning that is our relationship with self. Do we have some time? Do we have some time talking to ourselves, asking to ourselves of what's going on inside? Because I've been experiencing this one, no. Whenever the inside is so noisy, I could no longer listen what's really going on. So I have some time, you know, uh, allocating the me time for me. That's one of the things that I'm doing. So I have to just lock myself in the room and then have my me time. Just no need of doing anything, just relax, sit or lie by, anything that is comfortable to you, just to listen of what's going on inside. It's a very good it's a very good way of also understanding kung unsa na ka naabay nagbukal-bukal dihang mga pagbati sa ilalom, naabay mga nagbukal-bukal dihang kalagot, kahadlok, and all that. You can never listen to yourself if you are not going to also uh, give some time for yourself na ikaw lang jud. Okay, and then interrelationship, your relationship with others. How do you connect with your co-teachers? How do you connect with your heads? How do you connect with your students? Because baka sometimes we are just thinking of the 1530 ba, because there are different kinds of teachers. There are those teachers by accident, and there are those teachers who are really called to become teachers, and there are those teachers na naningkamot yun nga mahimong teacher. But then there are those teachers na who just wait for the 30, 15, and 30. So if that's the case, then it's so difficult for you to be able to develop that interrelationship, especially with your students, because every day we are we are dealing with students. And how is our relationship? Do we have some time looking for those students who are not attending to your classes virtually? Or do you even care for those students na wala jud nagpakabana? Although, yes, na ako'y nakita ganina no nga murag naa sa college department. But of course, here in Saint Columban, that's very important. That's one of the unique identity of Saint Columban, because we are not only giving knowledge, we are not only giving the education that this is it, this is what's in the syllabus, but we are for the total formation. The human being is also important aspect that we are dealing with. So ang mga teachers right now, we have lots of mga reports, no. We have reports from teachers na kining bataa wala jud ni nagsulod sa virtual, kining bataa gasulod sa virtual pero walay pakialam, kining bataa naay mga submission, things like that. They are giving us reports sa ilahang conditions sa mga bata. And the way I look at it, I felt like teachers are really having connections. They are having that relationship with others, that interrelationship. So kana importante kay na during the pandemic. Because you know what? It's so difficult, it's so hard to hear parents saying na, "Oh, wala man jud lang mo nag-call sa amo ama mga ako daing anak wala nay kanang sulod-sulod." And so this is what we do. If we don't connect with the student from the guidance center, based from the report from the teachers, tanang paagi. So from na kanang amo ang mga kauban diri mga working students, we loaded them nga kanang Unli to all network. So tawagan nilang bata, if dili ma-contact adto mi sa messenger. Kung dili gihapon mo tubag sa messenger, adto mi sa parents. So that and then we recorded everything. So that inig-anhi diri sa parent, we can present that this is what we have done. We don't lack. we always monitor, and that's because the teachers really care. So that's the interrelationship. So society, yes, even if you are just teachers, but we can do so much in the society. Siguro ang pinaka the best thing is if we are doing our responsibility as a teacher, it's also giving us the hint that we are also having good connection with the meta relationship. Okay, kay murag maka-inspire man ta, maka-spark man ta og um, inspiration sa mga tao nga nagtan-aw sa atua, sa mga tao nga kauban nato. Okay, there's already that meta relationship. So how does how does this affect us? Ang mental health maka-affect sa atong thinking, mood, and behavior. So we have here, I guess we are so aware of this naman, no? Biological factors such as genes or brain chemistry, and then life experiences such as trauma or abuse. Um, I had this partnership with the traumatic experiences are really very difficult to handle, especially if we don't have the skills. So these children are also having a lot of challenges as well kung saon nila pag go away from that situation. And again, it affects their mental health. Na kay kanang example na kay client nga a rape victim. Um, Not only one person. And the sad thing is that the perpetrators are coming from the family, the brother, father, grandfather, uncles, touching all of them touching her. So whenever the effect of that is whenever she sees mga ang opposite sex, taas yun ng liog. And then there was a time when we brought these girls outside sa Christmas during the pre-pandemic. Christmas, of course, there are a lot of people in the plaza, and daghan kayong opposite sex. Muduol muhalog sa ako Mama Jane, dili man ko kuan makapugong sa kong gibati. Lami na kaayong gakson. Mga ingon ana nga mga ano. So, mga expressions like kalamian jud niya Mama Jane. Things like that. And then if you don't understand unsa may imong ikasya, ayaw pagbiga-biga diha, ayaw pagpagpuyo diha and all that. But of course, no. Because you are just adding the wound, the pain to that child. So, and remember, these students or these children are not just in the center. We also have students in school. So we have to be very, keen observer around us. Kay naatay mga makita ba nga mga red flags nga kining bataa di ay is also having some traumatic experiences. And then family history, mental health problems kung naana sa genes, ma-pass on na sa present generation. So sometimes mo adto na sa kung grabe ang depende kung schizo. So schizo meaning to say makakita og mga makadungog mga voices na makitang mga images. And I had a client here, third year college nga nakadungog siya nga kanang gihiwa murag kana bang hiwaon niya iyahang pikas aping sa iyahang lubot. So tingala ko 2 weeks wala jud siya eskwela. I followed up with the mother, and there I found out. Pero pag follow up na ko ni anhi ang bata, pakita po niya iyahang samad. Naunsa man ni nadakdak ko ma'am. Pero ang reality da iyahang gihiwa. So kana bitang hiniwa sa isda nga murag danggit or murag unsa ba na, ingon ana jud ang hiwa nga taas ka murag nahiwa jud ang kuan. So ah this time around, dili na ni siya naalang sa mga facilities, but they are also present in school. And as teachers, how do we see them? How do we treat them if we don't have that care so much? Kay kung wala man gud tay meta or interrelationship, dili kay ta we cannot observe these things sa ato ang mga students. But if we are having this interrelationship with others, then meaning we can easily see the red flags, we can easily that these students are having some problems, and that we can easily refer. Again, we are not, we in the guidance center are so limited with in terms of reaching our students. Kamo man jud, ang mga teachers man jud ang ang naay mga kuan, naay mga contact. So direct contact with the students. So ingon ana. Psychosocial environment. So peers, isa pud na sa mga maka-affect sa mental health sa ato ang mga bata or sa ato. So how do we develop mental disability? Reality presents itself to us. So we respond, and then our psyche provides us with coping mechanism which will protect us in so far as it can. Like, kana bitawng na rape, naatay ka ng automatic kuan ba ka ng protective gear in our body na mo protect us so that we cannot feel the pain. We cannot feel the wound. Sometimes naatay mga kuan, naatay mga ginatawag og mga defense mechanism. So usa na siya, ang defense mechanism sometimes can also do good to us, no? Pero kung magsige na lang pud ta og gamit sa defense mechanism, problem na pud na siya. Okay, so our primary defense mechanism, repression, denial. So ingon ka nga pangutan-on ka, wala man ko naka-experience ana. So sometimes may nga tag okay lang. Okay lang at the moment siguro wa pa nag-sink in. But of course, it doesn't mean nga sige lang po tag okay lang, because we need to really face it. Like for instance, na affected ka sa COVID, one member of your family is affected sa COVID. In an instant dili pa kay na siya mo sink in, because as I've said, naatay automatic na mga kuan protective gear inside us that protect us from pain. But of course, as it sinks in, magawas na ng mga pains ana. So that's why we have to also go through with grief. So naa siya processes also. And kung dili nato na siya makuan, balik-balik na, and then kung magdaghan na og makadaghan na ta maka-experience og the same experience, so magtapo-tapo na siya, because we were not able to we failed to handle it properly until mo explode siya, ang mental health na dayon, disability na dayon sa atong mental health. And then we have here secondary defense. We have rationalization, projection, and then of course many people develop defense mechanism. But again and again, we should also see its importance to us kung nakatabang ba or wala ang atong mga defenses. Because if it's already developing another effect to us, so kung ano po na siya, problema na po siya. Another is we use unhealthy coping processes when we sort to alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, abuse of people around us, and yeah. So especially alcohol, binge ding, no, kanang grabe na jud kaayo ang ato ang kon sa alcohol. Then drugs, in 2015, I guess that was in 2015, I had my training in Cebu City sa AIDS. And then we were, I forgot the hotel. In front of our hotel was parang bar. And then looking at inside the kanang murag glass, na ay murag, I was thinking it was a mannequin, and then only to find out dili day siya mannequin, tinuod day siya nga bata. I guess that she was only 13 years old, 14 years old, acting like a mannequin inside the glass. And then I was telling my companions, in the trainings, pwede ta mo tawag og police, because that's kaning abuse sa child. And only to find out the mother was beside watching kung kinsay unang mo pick sa bata. And for me parang, oh my God, I was just imagining my own daughter ba, na ingon ani ka rampant, ingon ani unsa ni ka traumatic ato ang society, and I guess we need some help. And teachers are really having this important role in changing our society, no, that if we have developed that meta relationship, interrelationship, but of course first ang intra relationship. So kana ang isa sa amo ang pagtuyok-tuyok adto is tan-aw sa mga drug dens, and then naa jud ay ana sa that I don't know if it's still existing right now, na during that time Cebu has the highest cases in AIDS because of kana drugs, alcohol, and sex. So naa day siya drug den di adto nga naalay hole nga I don't know kung kabalo mo ani, but we have studied this one, na naalay hole nga iana lang ang imong kuan if you need some dose of drugs, kung unsa nga dose ang imong gikinahanglan. So di ana lang, then i-inject ka. And then every time you are injected, of course, okay na ka, ma-relieve na ka sa imong mga chilling feeling. And then we do not know that inside pala ang needle nga gigamit was just one throughout the day. So what if the first person who was injected with with that needle has AIDS? So has AIDS. So that was the very reason in our study. That was the very reason why during that time, ang AIDS is very high in Cebu. Gumikan sa drug den. Um, and of course, nga nung nakuan siya sa mental disability, because we were able to also listen to one HIV person living in HIV pala, PLHIV, na mao na iyang experience, and it was really affecting his mental mental fitness. It's because wala na deprived from all the opportunities, from all the blessings from the parents, rejected na siya, and then wala na siya kwarta, dili na siya makakuan og drugs. And so HIV man siya, naa may kuan HIV hub in Cebu, dito siya nakakuan og kaning help na that's also the thing I wanted to have here in Pagadian City, HIV hub. So grabe ang effect ani nga mga butang sa ato ang mental health. Okay, and then so if those are the those are the way we can develop mental disability, I'm also giving you ways of managing the stress that we have at. So tulo lang, USR dili ni siya katong katong unsa ni country, but ang USR stands for understanding, tapos later we'll have with the S and then with the R. So first we have to understand self-knowledge. Pagkikilala sa sarili, isang mahabang proseso ito. And of course, if we are successful in knowing ourselves, we are also able to develop that intra relationship. And then understanding the stress, so pattern of and causes. What are the patterns of stress that you have experienced? And what are the causes? Is it aggravating circumstances na ba? Or nagbalik-balik lang siya, and then your solution that you use is not effective. So therefore, you have to look for another way. So ingon ana, because if you understand your stress, the pattern, the causes, and unsay naka-aggravate sa imong stress, it's easier for us. It's easier for you to be able to address, to manage it. Pero kung dili kay ka, but you can never understand the stress if you don't understand yourself. If you don't know so much about yourself, kung unsa ang imuhang kuan, imuhang mga preferences, unsa imuhang way of thinking, something like that. So knowledge of situation and content. So understanding is key to discernment, pagkilatis, and decision making. We are encouraged not to make impulsive decisions because kung impulsive ta mag-decide, we do not know that this kind of decision would also bring us to another problem. That's why it needs to really understand the patterns, the causes, and the aggravating circumstances of our stress for us to be able to make decisions, make sound decision. Okay, if we don't understand those patterns, those mga causes, we cannot also arrive at with the sound decision that we need to have. And then for the skill, for the S, that's the skill, learning from experiences, meaning to say, what coping process works and not work. Kana bitong, kung kini nga problema ako na ning na-experience sa una, what kind of solution I used that made the problem or the stress properly address. So kung mauni ako na-experience sa una, then wala ning effective, then I'm not going to use that. So, and then what is healthy and unhealthy? So na kabalo naman ta sa mga unhealthy ko ano nga dili ta mag-drugs, dili ta sometimes dili ta mo go into illicit mga relationships because that would also affect us personally, affect our relationship. And so our capacity to ask help. I don't know sa inyo I don't have the profile of the participants right now, no. But in my sa akong ka level, I'm now in my late 40s. Kanang wala sa amuan nang mag-ask og help. But you know what? Our students, I am basing it here sa amuang situation here in Pagadian City. Most of our students now are already so aware that they need help and that almost that was December. Almost every week in December, whenever I encountered our parents or meet some parents, bisag dili na mo parents, nga kanang makailas ako, ikaw day itong gikuan, ma'am, akong anak nag-ask jud siya kung pwede ba daw siya makikuan sa imuha, magpa-counsel sa imuha and all that kay murag naa siya problema, ma'am. So parents as well are not even, are not even skilled in addressing this problem. So, nindot pod nga as teachers as we are, since kini nakuha nako ni sa una pa kaayo nga every teacher is a guidance counselor, then it's good that we also have some skills. And the skills that we are learning today could also be shared to our students so that they would be able to also manage their stress properly. Because whether you will like it or not, this is now the murag siya mao na ni trend karon. Just imagine I'm teaching research to our basic education students. And whenever one time I asked them to think of their phenomenon of interest. You know what? Ang mga phenomenon nila is about mental health. Grabe. And then when I asked them why, that's what you wanted to explore, to study, their answer is that it seems like I experienced the same. Like mga bipolar, mga studies like that ba. So, it already give us a hint nga, murag kuan kay ni nga mga bata. And you can already, as sa amo ang guidance, sa among guidance part, we could already integrate that in our intake interview so that we would be able to understand asa nagikan to nga idea, asa nagikan to nga thinking, so that we can address kay ingan ana ang amo ang experience dire. And so at first, before we can share that to others, we have to also practice it ourselves. Imbibing cool down structures and then time outs and walkaways. So kana mga distractions, kung medyo kuan na kay ka, kanang medyo loaded na kay ka, and then feeling like your decision makings are already affected, your ships are already affected, and your work is already affected, then ako ang ginahimo nako, I have to take long drive with my kids, with my children, two daughters. So kana lang jud, and then talk and then eat. Mao na ako ang mga distractions so that I would be able to come back ba sa normal na ako nga kuan kung loaded na bitaw kaayo. And then mga walkaways. So kung naa ka sa height of discussions and then you think that this kind of discussions is not really giving you good effects sa imuhang mental health, then walk away. You have to kuan lang sa as is lang sa na dili lang sa na i-deal at as of the moment because it's not healthy on your part. Or maybe if you think that it's not healthy on the other person. Then silence and meditation. This is what I'm doing. So katong the me time and then the meditation, although it's not perfect, but your own way lang, basta ma-release lang jud. And then one effective uh, strategy technique that I'm also doing is kung medyo murag dili naman ni ko anang ako ang self, dili na ni normal murag kanang magpalpitate na ka. What I'm doing is I have to have 5 minute proper breathing or abdominal breathing. Try to sense the way your stomach goes in and goes out as you inhale and exhale. So kana makatabang makarelax jud na nimo, makarelieve jud na sa imuhang mga anxiety. That's what I'm applying. Another is I do have my significant other. And I also suggest that you can if you can find one significant other which you think would never judge you but would always understand you kung usag bisag unsa pa ang imong nahimo, ikaw man ang at fault, but the person is there to understand and to listen and to maybe journey with you to be able to really come out from that uh, ang anxiety feeling. So anxious feeling. So, kana siya. Ang significant other doesn't necessarily mean to be your girlfriend, to be your boyfriend, to be your husband, or to be your wife. It could be somebody in the work place. Pero pwede pod kaayo nga imong significant other imong partner. Ako, I always have my partner. Na kanang maminaw ra na siya sa ako ang mga bagulbol and all that. And then afterwards, ako murag kabalo na siya nga na-relieve na ko and then that's the time nga he would tell me, "Oh, mao ni ang sitwasyon and all that." Objectively telling me what's going on. And so ako pod sa aya naapod ko'y kuan nga makapaminaw ko sa iyaha sa objective way ba nga dili ko wala na ako na take personally ang situation. So kana proper breathing and then significant other mo na isa sa ako ang mga kuan to be able to have mga skills na ako na nga gina-apply. And then of course prayer is also kuan no prayer as listening to God and the self. Meaning kana lang you don't say anything. Just let the inside communicate with our higher being. Just let the inside also understand of what's God is telling us. Kana sometimes maunay ako ang pinaka-effective way of kuan nga offer lang jud everything, do not say anything, do not ask. Kana lang. Just be in silence with God. Just be in silence with your higher being. And then, of course, yoga exercise is also very effective to others, but I'm not doing yoga, no? And then, kato lang akong ginakuan nga mga skills nga akong ginahimo. And then, capacity to seek professional help. So, katong kaganina nga, when do we know that we need some help? Kasi, when kani ako ang kuan, this is what I'm telling to my clients na whenever you cannot sleep more than 36 hours because every human being is only having this capacity to be awake for 36 hours straight. Beyond that, you already have a problem. So meaning, you can consult a psychiatrist. Why a psychiatrist, not a guidance counselor, not a psychologist? Because the psychiatrist can give you some prescriptions in order to relax nga makatulog ka and all that. And maybe afterwards you can ask for some therapy sa psychologist. But things like this dili na ni siya sa guidance counselor nga issue kay more on educational man gud ang guidance work. So kana siya. Basig mo ingon mo ba nga hala ka nang nakadungog na ko og mga tingog lagi, makita na kog mga images nga wala nakita sa ko ang mga kauban sa palibot. Moadto ka ni Ma'am Elita, "Ma'am, tabangi ko kay nakoy problema." But of course, Ma'am Elita can really refer you to the right person, to the expert na professional mga helper. Okay. So next is the resilience. Kana bitaw ang atong resiliency, but ang resiliency nga I am emphasizing here is that kana bang resilience na we're learning also from the past experiences. That's the best resilience for me. Kay kung sige lang po okay, resilience ta, pero unsa ang kind of resiliency you have developed? Like kana bitang baha. Sige, resilient ta kay despite the baha makakatawa ra gihapon ta. Pero kana bang resilient ta nga yes, we were able to laugh at this adversity, but we have also to learn from the experience. Now, hopefully, we would not be able to experience the same because we failed to do our responsibility of responding, of treating this kind of problem. So kana para sa ako ang resilience, and it's not only nga magkatawa ta whenever we experience adversity. We should always accompany with learning the lesson of the experience, and that this kind of adversity will not be experienced in the future. So in here, ang giingon niya lang is being resilient does not mean not experiencing stress, emotional upheaval, and suffering. Kana pod. Ang resilience is that we are ready to experience whatever mga adversities or mga challenges. But it doesn't mean nga wala na ta kung resilient ta, di na ta maka-experience, di na ta maka-feel, kay dili na katao ana. Then capacity to recover from difficulties and toughness. A negative experience, that's what I'm talking, into a learning experience to one's advantage, which helps develop skills for valid so kana no gi-emphasize na jud siya. And then what are some healthy activities to maintain a healthy mental well-being? So take care of yourself because you cannot give what you do not have. What kind of mga activity to share it with others. So do not wait for others to take good care of you. We are the best person to take care of ourselves and no one else. Dili nang imong bana, dili nang imong uyab. Eat, drink, and sleep properly. So kabalo na taan no, pila ka 8 hours sleep. Regular exercise or bodily activities, the role of endorphins in our well-being. And then take breaks from regular activities. So kana naadjud kay mga distractions from regular activities. Another skill maybe that I can give you is that all of us are already facing our laptops, our desktop, no? So be sure to have some green. Ako na ako'y plant diri sa ako ang kilid. So whenever my eyes are tired from looking at the screen, I can always have the distraction by looking at the green thing nga plant sa ako ang side. So kana siya very effective pud na siya to also kuan kanang ma lesser ang ato ang anxiety or ato ang stress level sa ato ang kuan life. So talk to someone, okay? I'm referring this to significant other, not someone who would judge you of what you have done. And then balance solitary activities with communal involvements, meaning to say civic organizations involved with it. I'm always encouraging my students to always engage into like sa pandemic community pantry. And there was a time last year we were able to raise pila to almost 70,000 katong sa Typhoon Ulysses. So here in the guidance center na grabe kay nga mo ang grabe kay nga mo ang office adto daghan kayong mga unsa ni mga used clothings, mga pre-love nga mga items nga gipang donate sa mga alumni, and we launched our online selling for the victims of the Ulysses typhoon last year. And so we give it to the kuan siya unsa ni sa Caritas, and then sila na mo'y nag-deliver dito. These are the things that would also help us kanang lahi man gud ang joy nga ihatag sa ato whenever we engage things like this, whenever we help people. And then maintain spiritual health, spend some time in solitude and prayer, then learn how to face life one step at a time so that you do not get overwhelmed. Remember, life is a marathon, not a sprint. So ayaw pagdali-dali. There's no need to hurry in life. We have to take it one step at a time and savor every experience that we always have in our life so that we would be able to also really kuan ba kanang ma-enjoy jud nato ang ato ang life, kasi kung magdali-dali ta lagmit padagma ta ana. Okay, so the pandemic is new to everyone. Thus, we cannot predict our reactions. We have no, previous experiences for it. So therefore, naadyo ta atong fear, naatay mga anxiety. But if we take care of ourselves, then meaning to say we can also handle this properly. If we have mastered our USR, then whatever pandemic would be coming in the future, wala na siya. Ang VUCA world, okay ra kay na siya sa atuan na. Therefore, normalize what you are feeling. Anxious, fearful, bored, etc. So these are normal feelings for an abnormal time, and that's correct. Then do not think of feelings rather feel them and express them to someone. So articulate your feelings by naming them, like images or maybe use, and then sharing them with others help us better understand them. Kung ang imong significant other is truly a significant other, the significant other that you have would be able to enlighten you and to to crystallize the situation for you to be able to understand it and address it properly. And then do not pathologize. So ang ato ang mga bata karon mahilig kayong magpathologize. Meaning kanabitang ilahan ng i-diagnose, self-diagnosing. Like mo anhi ang bata diri sa amo, ma'am, bipolar ba ako? Ha, kisa pa gingon nimo nga bipolar ka. Siya nga, mao akong nabasa, ma'am. So we would always tell them, no. Kanang maybe kanang katiting ra kay na sa imong mga experiences ang imong mga nabasa, because everything that's in the Google na unya makuan po na makita po na nato unya unsay kuan sa Google, kuan siya kanang dili jud siya healthy pud sa tanang panahon. Okay, and then what are some okay, so sometimes Google is not helpful. I remembered our VP academics before, the late Dr. Te, na she was diagnosed with cancer, brain cancer. And then, of course, they went to Manila for some therapy. But then, whenever they're given the medicine, they would also research sa Google. And naman, every medicine naman dyan na siya side effect. Ila man na pwede nga wala. So, dili niya i-take ang kuan. So, sa akong experience for 26 years in St. Columban College, actually 30 na, including my college days, I was able to say na siya jud ang pinaka very short span of surviving the cancer. Kasi few years back, another VPEA who died in cancer, nakasurvive pa siya for more than 2 years, I guess, fighting cancer, sa liver cancer putong iya. But Dr. Te was the shortest. Kay dili niya imnon ang tambal, di siya maminaw sa kuan kay naay side effects. So do not although sometimes akong na ako'y bation unsay akong gikuan unsay kuan ani nga causes ani unsay treatment. But sometimes it would also kuan bitaw kanang give me some kuan ba some comfort na ay dili man day siya kuan normal na day siya sa akong edad. So kana pod, but of course do not always rely on Google because it's not helpful always. And then do not self-diagnose, okay? Na kuan na. When needed, consult a professional. Example, lack of sleep for weeks, physical symptoms like, but again and again, kung naamoy mga gipangbati sa mga likod, that doesn't mean that you already have some problems, sa physical problems, sa internal problems, no? But what I'm telling it to my kanang mga friends and clients na you have to go back to the past 2 weeks. What have you experienced? Naa ba kay mga kuan ka ng disagreements with others nga naka-kuan sa imuha, naka-affect sa imuha, nakapa-down sa imuha? Because that mga psychosomatic man gud na ang atong mga psychological mga kuan distress might kuan kanang come out from our body. So kung naay mga likod, ayaw kuan diretso dayon sa kuan no kanang unsa ni sa mga internist, sa mga ato ang mga physician kay basin og resulta lang na it might be kuan kanang results only of the mga disagreements that you have with your colleagues, family members, friends ba ingon ana. So kana mao na akong ipa-review nganong ingon adto and then have some reconciliation with yourself unsa man ang nahitabo. If you need to talk with that person, if it's helpful, if it's comfortable on your part, dili ra pud kay bugat sa imo, then why not? And then um forgiveness kana bitang forgiveness is also a very kuan important values that we need to have, uh, especially that we can forgive to ourselves. Do not so harsh to ourselves. Mag-suffer ana mo na the healthy relationship, mentally healthy relationship with another. And abang there's common connection with the other, with another. Meaning to say, you have some commonalities of mga siguro mga likes, mga basta naamoy mga kuan naamoy connection always that you can easily share nga you can easily understand together kana no na connection. But here's the mentally unhealthy relationship, meaning to say you are developing a relationship of codependency, meaning you are losing your own self because of your total dependence to that person. Nawala na ka kaya naana ka dependent na kay ka sa other person. You cannot even make your own decision. You cannot even make your own choices because everything is relied to that person. So that's very mentally unhealthy because the other person is not also is might be seeing this as an opportunity or is also taking advantage of that kuan ba kanang being so reliant to the other person, dependence to that person. So that's a mentally unhealthy relationship. But of course, there's also this mentally unhealthy relationship with another when a relationship of there's a relationship of indifference, meaning kanang wala jud kay connection. So if we are going to check our relationship with our students, asa man ta dapita? Katubang healthy relationship nga naay connection, nga naay understanding, ikaw nakasabot ka, kay basin baya og kana bitong basta lang makakuan ka kana output, answer this one and ana kung naa lang mo okay na ko ana. But you don't really care because you don't exceed ba, you don't put some extra mile on the relationship that you have established with your students. Ana siya. During this pandemic, this is very important. Again and again, we are also, as teachers, we are also helping professionals. Meaning, we have to also reach out to our students and that indifference should be erased from our vocabulary in the dictionary so that we would be able to shed some light to our students. Dili lang kay, basta na, himo na ako akong trabaho, enough na. As teachers as we are, kanang, in the Holland's personality profile, we are in the social we have that social personality, meaning the social personality has TLC, tender loving care. How would we be able to manifest this TLC to our students if we have developed an a relationship with indifference. So these are some challenges that while we are taking care of our own mental health, at the same time, this taking care of our mental health would also be cascaded to our students, that we can inspire, we can spark some inspiration of from our students nga this is the kind of relationship you wanted to establish with them. Kana the caring teacher to our students. Kanang these are the these are the experiences that I have with my with our teachers here, both in the college and in the tertiary. So final note, mental fitness is not only the mind, it is overall wellness, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and disposition. We need all the care, especially this time of pandemic. We need to be always mindful. So we live a faith that makes us live in a healthy and holy freedom. Supposedly we are going to have some some activity which is spreading positive vibes, because as we make other people happy, in return, our heart is also being taken care of, and that there's no possible stress or anxiety that would come in because we make other people happy. So, ang ako mga activity nga ginahimo ani kay kana lang kanang sa inyohang faculty room, siguro na amoy mga, if you think there's someone who really need to have some positive vibes nga ana, thank you, you're beautiful, you're that can really help us, that can also ignite in developing interrelationship within your workplace. But dili lang nato ni himuon, no, kana write a note to yourself. At first, of course, do not forget writing your own self. Ako every morning na ako'y kuan dito, Jane, you're good, you're kind, and all that. So take care of yourself. Mga reminders lang, and then also radiate this to other people, to your colleagues, to your friends, to your family members. And I'm also giving this to no, this is one of the best practice I've been giving to my students sa MAGSI, sa mga masterants, ang kanang sa ako ang stress and handling or managing stress nga subject. So naa jud na sila, documented jud na sila nga ilang gihatag ang ilahang work, ilang artwork to the person whom they think need it. And then of course mentally okay, mentally fit teachers are drivers of the VUCA world. Always remember that. Because if we are not mentally fit, then it's also very difficult for us to manage our students. And it's really very difficult for us to connect to our students, to radiate some care. Anak bitaw. And then you as a leader and teacher. So here, as a manager and teacher, you are responsible for the lion's share of the decisions about the parameters that define how your organization or class can operate. The increase of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity means that you and your school management must seek new or orientations and take a fresh approach to management. Only then can you guarantee a positive result in changed circumstances. So the VUCA world challenges you to find your own way. You will need to understand the psychologic and develop emphatic behavior. In short, to be more concerned with humans and their needs is the best way to do. So, meaning and purpose take a central role in educational landscape to be on top of the priority. So, mao ni ato ang mga role karon sa VUCA world. So, yan, we have to be collaborative and calculated decision making must be involved. So, dili lang, of course, I hope decisions should not only be coming from the top management, but teachers must also be involved, because you are, remember, you have that lion's share in really managing and facing the challenges of the new normal of the VUCA world. So, how to transform education in the VUCA world? Kito lang. We need to have a paradigm shift. So, from volatility, we have to transform volatility to vision. Meaning, um, yan. We can develop vision and successfully tackle all the challenges that may encounter. So, visit the vision. Unsa may atong vision di ay? How is this relevant to the pressing need of the society? And are we still, responding to the problems, the challenges of the society in the way we do? So kana vision tan-aw nato unsa na may atong vision karon, and we always integrate this in preparing our LCP. And then, of course, transforming uncertainty to understanding. So understanding is very important, no? That's one of the skills that we need to develop in order to manage stress properly. Same as in our classes, in the way we handle our students. And then complexity must be transformed into clarity. So there should always be clarity of the things. And then ambiguity must always be changed with agility, meaning to say energy. Instead na magsige na lang kag ratol ana, use those energy of being maratol sa mga butanga, very volatile, very complex, very uncertain, into energy in order to implement the vision, the new vision that you have seen, out of understanding and clarity. So these are the things. Okay. I guess these are all the okay, so as drivers, ito ang mahimo ng transform ang VUCA world into a vision. So we have to take action for and then probe change. And then we can also have wider understanding of different perspective will be developed. So in clarity, we can focus and we can be flexible also, and we can develop creativity. So in agility, there's also some changes in our decision making. So we have to have some innovations in order to properly address what's pressing at right now in our society. Okay, so before I end, let me take this ano w- line from Beta Calamar. Words may inspire, but only action creates change. So I hope this would not only be remain in this virtual forum, but at the same time, we would be able to really translate it into action, what we have learned from this morning's talk. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me here this morning.
Thank you, Doc, for sharing your knowledge on purpose-driven teaching. And now the floor is now open for questions. Please comment your questions. Again, so the floor is now open for question. For any question, please comment your questions. So we give you time to comment your question.
Hmm.
Okay, I think we're good for now. At this juncture, let us award the Certificate of Appreciation and allow me to read the citation. Certificate of Appreciation. The certificate is given to Dr. Mary Jane Omandam, RGC, for extending her time in sharing her knowledge during the webinar entitled Purpose-Driven Teaching and Celebration of Mental Health Awareness Month, given this 23rd day of October 2021 at University of Southern Philippines Foundation, Cebu City. Signed by Dr. Eleta L. Cui, RGC. Signed by Dr. Ernesto L. Alalor, VP Academic Affairs. Signed by Attorney E. Yabao, President. Thank you, Doc, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Salamat, sir. Ma'am Elitz.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Question na.
And please, thank
Okay,
you for
so is it
attending.
good to
Sige, Doc. Thank you for attending, and please fill out the evaluation form as a basis for your
yes,
attendance and e-certificate. Yes, Doc. Doc. Thank you for attending.
okay lang,
Please
sir.
fill
Go
out the
ahead.
evaluation form as a basis of your attendance and e-certificate, and it will be open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The evaluation form can be found at GTEC FB page. Please assure that your certificate will be sent through the email you provided. Yes, Doc. Do you have something to say, Doc?
No more, sir.
And I would like to thank everyone who made this webinar possible, to our Director, GTEC, Dr. Eleta L. Cui, to our resource speaker, Dr. Mary Jane B. Omandam, RGC, all faculty from elementary to graduate school, and to the guidance team, congratulations to us. It was a pleasure being with you all today. Goodbye, and we hope to see you again next time.
Hi, kamusta? Anong araw na ba? Pero alam ko ang nais nating itanong ay ilang araw pa ba? Alam ko ang iba ay naninibago, pagod na at natatakot. Pero maskin ako sa mga tanong na yun, wala ring maisasagot. Nakakatawa lang kasi sa mga panahong ito, lahat tayo may kanya-kanyang hugot. Merong banat ng banat para mapatawa ang iba. Meron ding mga mensaherong sumisigaw ng pag-asa. Kaya natutuwa ako. Nakita ko kasi na lahat tayo, bawang mga sundalo. Kadalasan nga lang, digmaan natin nasa loob ng ating ulo. Minsan nga, isang ideya lang, tayo na'y natatalo. Pero, pwede ko bang sabihin sa'yo ano ang hindi magbabago? Yun ang damdamin mo bilang isang tao. Pwede kang manibago, pwede kang mapagod, pwede kang matakot. Yun sa sarili mo'y huwag mong ipagdamot. Hindi din kasi ako ganoon katatag para di malungkot sa nangyayari sa mundo. Pero habang alam kong may taong lumalaban para sa kaligtasan ko, pipilitin kong sa gitna ng pangamba, di ako susuko. Ikaw rin lumaban ka. Dahil ngayon, kinakailangan ng mundo ang kahit anong uri ng pag-asa. Ikaw may nasa iyong pamamahay o isa sa mga magigiting na nasa unahan ng away. Lahat tayo sa digmaang ito'y isang sundalo. May takot man o paninibago. Balang araw, may intindihan natin ang aral ng pangyayaring ito. Pero sa ngayon, hi, kamusta? Sana ngayon malusog ka at patuloy na umaasa.